Hi, I am going to show you what an itinerary can look like on OneNote. Okay, so what we start with here is the actual itinerary. And in OneNote, you have the main tabs here, and then you have like little sub tabs. So under itinerary, the first itinerary is April 19th through the 25th. This is showing her schedule, the dates, um, the significant times of things, when she needs to be picked up, what time her flight is. This particular flight, she has a layover in between. It's not a direct flight, so she leaves at 7 a.m. And then she has a layover, and then at that next airport, which is LAX in Los Angeles, she leaves at 11:15. And it says how long the layover is. Also says if she has a meal on the plane, if the plane has Wi-Fi, like this flight up here does. The next day is her first business meeting day. And again, it says what time the meeting is. At 8 a.m., she has a meeting at the Capital City Convention Center. 1 p.m., there's another time that she has to actually be at something. And each day it tells her the mandatory meetings that she needs to be at. And you can see, like on Thursday, there is no meeting. She can spend the day sightseeing. And then Saturday is her last day there. Move to the next itinerary. And this is when she goes to Guadalajara from Mexico City. So it says here, and this here is the itinerary. The details of the itinerary are later on in all these other tabs. For instance, transportation. I have written down literally every leg of her trip transportation-wise. This here says that I will be picking her up at 4:30 a.m. at her house. It says from your home to the airport. It says about time when we're going to get there, 5 a.m. She'll have 2 hours before her flight. When she lands in Mexico City, this gives her the information that she'll need for how she's getting from the airport to her hotel. This is the information there. To and from meetings. This tells her that she's going to need to contact the hotel's front desk to arrange rides to her meetings. That is the safest way to do it in this particular city. When she's at a meeting and she wants to go back to the hotel or somewhere in between, she needs to use this telephone number. She'll have to do this on her own unless the convention center has a concierge that would do it for her. And she needs to call this number to get herself a ride. And the reason we do this is because this is the safest way to do it in Mexico City. Here it tells her from Mexico City, from the airport, or to the airport from her hotel. So again, she needs to arrange the ride from her hotel with the hotel to the airport. And this is a reminder for her to keep all her receipts so she can be reimbursed from the office. Same in Guadalajara. There's planned transportation from the airport. There's planned transportation to and from meetings. And there's planned transportation back to the airport for her trip home. This date here, May 2nd, is when she's actually flying back to Spokane. And again, please arrange a ride to the Mexico City International Airport through the hotel also, okay? So she needs to do that, and it even tells when she should leave the hotel. I will pick her up in Spokane when she arrives, and I will be driving her home. Both the itinerary and the transportation tab specifies the destination she'll be heading to and intermediate stops and times and actual dates of when she will be needing those arranged flights or taxi rides that she needs to arrange for herself. Okay, the next tab is air travel. And you can see here, the first page is Spokane to Mexico City. This gives you the date. I'm sorry, no, that's not the right date. This right here gives you the date, April 19th. It gives you all the flight information. It says that the flight has Wi-Fi, so it gives you the little extra information. And there is a layover. There's a 1 hour and 24-minute layover. And if you remember that from the itinerary, see? So we got like double information there. Okay. This is a map of the Spokane airport. It's a map of her, the airport she's actually leaving from. And here is a link to the Spokane airport's website if she needs to have any information other than what I already have for her on here. The next page is Mexico City to Guadalajara. Again, there's the date of her travel. There's the information of her flights, the time, little special things about the flight. And again, we have the map and the website here, the link. And last is the Guadalajara to Spokane flight. This is Saturday, May 2nd. Again, it tells the flight information, the time, there's the map, there's the website. This also has a, this is not a direct flight. There's a 3-hour layover on this flight. Her hotels for each city are also shown here under the hotel tab. This one is Mexico City. There is the Marriott Hotel, Marriott Reforma Hotel. I have the link there. You also have the address and the phone number in case that's all you need. And this is just a snippet of the situation of the room. It's got the price. However, she doesn't need to know that anyway because she's not paying for this. The company is. And the same for Guadalajara. You got the Casa Habita, you got the address, the telephone, the actual website, and another snippet, and you got the price there. Now we're going to go to general travel information. So, of course, with every international trip, you need your passport. So it tells her here she needs her passport. It also says that your passport cannot have an expiration date less than 6 months after her arrival home from her trip date. It's a little bit confusing. I'm not exactly sure why they do that, but that's how it is. This here is telling her she'll be giving a prepaid visa for her trip, and that she also may need to use some cash, which she's also going to get some pesos from the company slush fund after they switch it over to pesos, and for her to keep all of her receipts. For her safety, to please only use the taxi services that have been approved for your trip. And as I showed you, and it even says here, see transportation section, I have set up rides or companies to call for every situation. Okay, Mexico's national language is Spanish. The majority of the people she will be meeting with also speak English. So this tells her that. And it's a good idea to show good faith and interest in your colleagues in another country to learn a few different phrases in their language and some things in their culture. So I broke down a few of them here, a couple easy ones. She can practice on the plane ride over. And then also how you address people and what their actual titles would be called. Next thing we're going to look at, it's quite important. Always know where your embassy is when you're traveling. This one shows the consulate in Guadalajara, and this is the embassy in Mexico City. So you're going to have all the information you need here, the address and the telephone number of each one. Also links if you need to use them. Okay, let's go to explore the city. Okay, things to do in Mexico City. And I went ahead because people like to make their own choices. I put a link so that she could pick her own things to do. There's culture and theme tours, shopping, private sightseeing, museums, day trips, malls, all sorts of different things, because she does have a couple free days on her itinerary. So that's in Mexico City, things to do. And then we have a where to eat in Mexico City. Again, she can pick her own choices. Okay, so it looks like that. And then I did the same thing for Guadalajara. While in Guadalajara, where to eat in Guadalajara. Fun one to type out too. And then the last tab is miscellaneous. First tab we have here is know before you go. She does not need to bring an electrical adapter. She does not need that for her phone or for her blow dryer if she's bringing one. Let's see. Oh, both cities that she's going to be in are 1 hour ahead of local Spokane, Washington time, or her hometown of Post Falls, Idaho. So there's just going to be a 1 hour difference. Mexico will be ahead. There are no required vaccines to travel to Mexico. It's recommended that when you're in Mexico, you should avoid eating raw food and only drink bottled water. That's just kind of a good rule of thumb. There are no special holidays the month she's going to, or the 2 weeks she's going to be there. And of course, I mentioned it earlier, but the currency in Mexico is the peso. And here it shows the current exchange rate, which does change daily, but usually not huge changes. Local culture information. Okay, hola is how you should greet somebody. The greeting is hola, and it means hello. And a handshake is also extremely acceptable. When being introduced, please address people in the following manner unless otherwise directed by the person. Señor from Mr., Señora, Mrs., Señorita is Miss. So that would be titles if you were greeting somebody. Business cards are not always used in the meeting. You definitely bring business cards with you, always, everywhere. But it's usually they're exchanged at the end of meetings. You'd have to just kind of follow suit because it's not exact in their culture. You have to kind of just play by ear what they do. Gifts are not expected. And if you do bring a gift, make sure it's not an expensive one. And don't expect a gift. But again, if you receive one, it's going to be a small token, most likely something from their a local artist in their city or a local flavor. Your host work hour practices are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's the typical. But they have much longer lunch break times than we have. So just be used to that. And of course, you always show up on time. However, the Mexican business person may be 30 minutes late because that is okay there. That's not considered rude, but you don't want to show up late. A good thing to, another etiquette thing is to not stand with your hands on your hips. That can definitely come off as aggressive. But it is okay to ask some light personal questions of your hosts before the meeting gets underway. And the last page of the miscellaneous tab is called local information.
It tells you the code, code of the country and the city. It tells you the average weather in Mexico City is between 50 and 75, 50 for the low, 75 for the high. And in Guadalajara, the low is 50 and the high 82. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration of how you can use OneNote for an itinerary. Thank you.